Welcome back to The Deep Dive, brought to you by Forgotten Wisdom Radio. We're part of the Nomadic Enterprises team, and we're here digging into that essential knowledge for real resilience and self-sufficiency. Today, we're tackling something absolutely core to being self-reliant, getting ready for winter. We're going deep into author Spirit Walker's article, Winter is Coming, Off-Grid Pantry Staples You Shouldn't Be Without. Our goal here, to pull out the really key practical stuff you need, to build that security before the cold hits hard.
Yeah, and security is definitely the right word. Spirit Walker's whole philosophy frames the pantry as much more than just, well, food storage. It's security, it's health, it's actually peace of mind. We're not just talking about a 72-hour kit here. This is about tapping into that wisdom from, generations of homesteaders, people whose survival depended on being prepared for months of isolation. They couldn't just run to the store.
Okay, so let's get into this list of staples, but let's go beyond just naming them. First up, the absolute foundation, grains and beans. Spirit Walker mentions dried beans, lentils, rice, oats, cornmeal, whole wheat flour, the basics. These are the calorie powerhouses, no doubt. But for long-term survival, just listing them isn't the whole story. What's the crucial piece here about how you store them? Longevity's everything, right?
Exactly. It's all about the duration. That dictates the method. Rice and beans, they're amazing. Properly stored, they can last 30 years, maybe more. And the technique Spirit Walker emphasizes is pretty straightforward. Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers. You basically take away everything that degrades them, oxygen, moisture, pests. Do that, and they become almost indefinite security.
Okay, Mylar and oxygen absorbers. Simple, but critical.
But there's a catch, a nuance. Whole grains like your whole wheat flour or brown rice, they're more nutritious, sure, but they have oils in the jar.
Right. They go rancid faster.
Much faster, sometimes in just a year or so. White flour, white rice. Less nutritious, yeah, but they last decades. So for a real long-term scenario, you might have to make that trade-off. You're balancing nutrition now versus viability way down the line.
That's a really key insight. That trade-off, nutrition versus shelf life. That's the kind of detail you need to know. Okay, moving on from the dry goods, the next layer of security. Root cellar vegetables. We're talking potatoes, onions, garlic, carrots, turnips, beets, the classics. Spirit Walker calls them time-tested, multi-month keepers. But what's the difference between a successful root cellar and just, chuck them in a cool basement corner?
It's environmental control. That's the whole game. It's why a potato might sprout in 2 months in one spot, but last 6 in another. See, potatoes, carrots, beets those root crops. They need high humidity, like 90% humidity ideally. Keeps them from shriveling up. And the temperature needs to be just above freezing, maybe 35 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
High humidity, just above freezing. Got it.
Too warm, they sprout. Too dry, they turn into little rocks. But then onions and garlic, they need the opposite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they need cool temperatures too, but low humidity. Otherwise, they'll rot or get moldy. So the smart homesteader understands these microclimates. They store them separately, carefully, not just all piled together.
Understanding those specific needs turns a simple list into an actual strategy. Okay, so let's talk about staying healthy, avoiding deficiencies, preserve fruits and vegetables, bringing color, flavor, and those micronutrients when nothing's growing. Spirit Walker lists 3 methods: canned, dried, or fermented. Each has its place. What's the specific survival advantage of fermentation, like making sauerkraut or relishes for a long winter?
It's the vitamin C. That's huge. In the dead of winter, fresh vitamin C sources. Gone. Historically, scurvy was a real danger for isolated folks. Fermenting, like cabbage into sauerkraut, doesn't just preserve it super efficiently. It actually increases the vitamin C content significantly. Plus, you get probiotics for gut health.
Wow, okay, so it's not just preservation, it's enhancement.
Exactly. Dried apples, canned green beans, they give you fiber, minerals, variety. But fermented foods, those are your deliberate anti-deficiency powerhouses. And this kind of proactive health thinking extends right into Spirit Walker's next category: herbs and natural medicines. The article calls them the first line of defense when getting to a doctor might be impossible.
Right, more than just seasoning, real medicine. Let's look at the specifics mentioned. Dried yarrow for fevers, mullein for coughs, garlic for infections.
Mullein's a perfect example of that specific old wisdom. It's an expectorant. It helps clear out that deep, gunky chest congestion, classic winter misery, right? And yarrow is a diaphoretic. It helps you sweat safely, which can help break a fever naturally. These aren't just random weeds. They target the predictable problems of living cold and isolated. It lets you save modern meds for the really serious stuff.
Makes sense. Okay, big shift now. Energy. fats and oils, not just for cooking, but critical for warmth, calorie density, and actually helping you absorb vitamins from those root veggies we talked about. Spirit Walker lists lard, coconut oil, olive oil, even butter, frozen or canned. Why is this category just absolutely essential, even if you have tons of rice and beans stored?
Because energy density equals survival warmth. It's almost that simple. When it's cold, your body needs way more calories just to stay warm, especially if you're doing hard work, chopping wood, clearing snow.
Right, the physical demands.
Exactly. Fats give you 9 calories per gram. Carbs only give you 4. Without those concentrated fats, you'll burn through your stored food incredibly fast. And practically speaking, you can't make those grains and beans very edible or even digestible without some kind of fat and heat. This need, the absolute requirement to turn raw stuff into usable energy, it points to a bigger truth.
Which is
That storage is just step one. It's foundational, yes. But if you can't eventually produce or replenish these critical, dense resources yourself, well, your security has an expiration date. And that line of thinking, that connection, I think it explains the logical next step in Spirit Walker's work. You look at your stored lard and realize eventually it runs out. So the real solution isn't just buying more cans.
it's learning to make it yourself.
Yeah.
Or raise the animals, grow the crops that provide it.
Precisely. And that realization, I believe, is why Spirit Walker followed up the pantry advice with the book Preparing for the Collapse, Food Production Basics. For anyone listening who's thinking, okay, I've got the storage down, but what happens after? That book provides the roadmap for actual long-term food security through production. We've made the link available for you, and it really is the logical next step on this path.
Good point. Okay, rounding out the nutrition picture. Proteins and shelf-stable meats. Grains keep you going, but protein provides that raw strength needed for sustained hard work, even in the snow. We're talking canned fish, smoked meats, jerky, maybe shelf-stable protein powders. How do these fit into the off-grid picture specifically?
It's about maintenance and repair. If you're building things, chopping wood, hauling water, you're breaking down muscle tissue. You need steady, high-quality protein to rebuild. Plant proteins are good, don't get me wrong, but you often need to combine them carefully, eat larger amounts to get the same effect as animal protein. These shelf-stable options, canned fish, jerky, they're just concentrated strength, a vital resource when you are the entire workforce through winter.
Makes sense. And finally, one that often gets overlooked, but Spirit Walker highlights it for mental health. Sweeteners and comforts, honey, maple syrup, stored sugar. Why aren't these just luxuries in a tough situation?
Well, quick energy is part of it, sure,
Yeah.
but the psychological boost, that's invaluable. Think about it. Isolation, long periods of darkness, cold. It wears you down mentally.
Yeah, definitely.
A warm cup of tea with a bit of honey, maybe a small treat baked with some sugar. It's a small moment of normalcy, of comfort. It reminds you things aren't all hardship. It helps fight off burnout, keeps spirits up. Ancestral wisdom knew this. A little sweetness goes a long way in enduring tough times.
That focus on the practicalities brings us right to the non-food items that are just as critical. Water and fire essentials. You could have a mountain of food, but if you can't cook it or stay warm.
It's useless. Absolutely.
Spirit Walker lists stored drinking water, firewood, natural fire starters. But for a truly off-grid situation, stored water runs out eventually. What's the deeper wisdom here about water management beyond just storing jugs?
It points towards purification readiness. Stored water is phase 1. Phase 2 is knowing how to safely get more. Even melting snow, which by the way uses a ton of fuel, isn't always safe. Pollution travels.
So filters. Boiling.
Exactly. The real essential is having multiple ways to make questionable water safe. Good filters, chemical treatments like bleach or iodine tablets, and knowing how long you need to boil water at your altitude. Relying only on stored water is thinking short-term. Long-term resilience means being able to process water continuously and safely.
Okay, that brings us back to the big picture. Why bother with all this? The effort, the planning, the space. What's the core wisdom behind stocking up, as Spirit Walker puts it?
I think it boils down to psychological freedom. When you're prepared, really prepared, winter stops being this looming threat that ties you to fragile supply chains.
Right. It changes your relationship with the season.
It really does. It can become a time for rest, reflection, maybe even renewal, because you have that security. You gain real resilience, genuine self-reliance. It's a practical return to how our ancestors lived, providing for themselves. That preparation turns potential fear into actual present-day strength.
That mindset, that commitment to doing for yourself, whether it's full-on homesteading or just living more organically, more self-sufficiently, That's really the heart of forgotten wisdom, isn't it? And look, if this deep dive resonates with you, if you're feeling ready to put some of this wisdom into practice, you should know our parent site, Nomadic Enterprises, has resources to help you on that journey. You can check out the Forgotten Wisdom Market website. We've curated products there specifically for this lifestyle. If you're thinking about moving from storage to production, like we discussed, we have quality garden seeds. If you need gear for navigating tough conditions, check out the hiking, backpacking, and camping supplies.
Hmm.
Or maybe off-grid power products are what you need next. It's all there to support this kind of empowered, resilient living.
So, to wrap up the core message from Spirit Walker's piece, every single item on that list, whether it's a bag of properly stored rice, a jar of that vitamin C rich sauerkraut, or a bundle of medicinal herbs, it's a piece of peace of mind. It's a hedge against the unknown. This isn't just a shopping list, it's really a blueprint for maximizing your security, your nutritional resilience. When you apply this preparation strategically, it literally becomes your strength.
And if today's discussion has sparked something in you, made you want to go beyond just storing things to actually producing your own resources, well, we strongly recommend taking that next step with author Spirit Walker's guide. The book, Preparing for the Collapse, Food and Production Basics, gives you that framework, the knowledge to build truly sustainable long-term food security. We've put the purchase link right there for you. So as we finish this deep dive, maybe think about Spirit Walker's core idea. Survival isn't just about toughing it out. It's about thriving, using the practical wisdom of those who managed before us. Ask yourself, what specific knowledge, what tangible bit of wisdom are you putting away now that will be your real strength later this year? Think on that. Focus on those critical details until our next deep dive.